Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see everyone, and people I have never seen before too. That's really great.
Yes.
We have obviously today Randy Burns doing our music. Yay, Randy. And we have Reverend Susan Dorn doing the service today, the message. And the several things that we want to let people know about are on the third Sunday from now on of the month. We're going to be right after the service, actually at 12:30, there's going to be a Course in Miracles class. You will be provided with the book if you're interested in coming to do that. Pam is leading that class for us. And on the second and fourth Sundays, directly after service, we're just starting a new little thing called Faith and Java. So we'll go downstairs and have cookies and coffee and get to know each other better, because even many of us come from all over, Portland and Salem and Newport. So we see each other every Sunday, but we don't really always get a chance to know one another. So we're starting that. I think that's it. Next week is the board meeting, if anybody's interested in coming to the board meeting. Plus we have copies of the Daily Word in the back, the new ones for January, February. They're $3 if you need one of those. And people are holding up things. I have a visual aid back here, people. So there's also, mostly I've passed them out, but what we're doing today that I think I've given them to everyone is we have a little basket that has your annual donations in it for your tax records. So be sure to check if I haven't handed it to you if your name is in there. Okay, I think that's it. So at this time I'm going to light the Christ candle, which is the visual reminder of the Christ that lives within all of us, something we can access anytime, anywhere, when we need comfort or we need confirmations, or we just are feeling low and feel like we need some extra support. We have a new sign up front that says, "You're not alone." And on the back side, which doesn't show very much because the electrical box is there, it says, "Don't give up." And that's another thing that we hope will remind people that there's always a source. Okay, we get two. That's it. That's pretty good. Yeah. 2 out of 4. Not bad. All right. And at this time, we're going to have Reverend Susan give us an opening prayer, and then we'll do a congregational song. And the words to the congregational song, well, there's
Not the
not the
congregational,
congregational.
gathering.
We'll do our standard one, but you have those words. Everything now words to songs up on the screen. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. So I invite you to just go inside for a moment. Breathe deeply. Close your eyes if you wish. Just take a moment and breathe. Taking in all of this beautiful oxygen that surrounds us and letting go of stuff. And as you continue to breathe in deeply, I invite you to know with me that we are here by divine guidance, by divine order. That there is no one here by accident. That we come here together today to be the presence of the Christ light that is so beautifully represented by the candles. We are here to celebrate and renew ourselves in the goodness that we know is everywhere present. And I know that someplace between the music and the words and the prayers and the and the enjoyment of one another's company, we are led to our higher source. We shed those old clothes of resentment or pain or suffering and renew ourselves in spirit and in truth. And for everyone here today and all of the beloveds who hold this church in consciousness, I give thanks and praise and say, let it be. Amen. Speaking of let it be, I didn't even realize I did that. That's our congregational song. So if you will turn into your bulletins, I think.
No, first one is this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is our first song, sorry.
I did it.
It's my fault. This is our opening song that Randy leads us in, which is so incredible. And for those of you new, have you been here before? Okay, so you know that
I don't
this is sort of
think I have
gesture song.
music to give yourself to love.
That's not yours?
That's not his. His
That's
is,
I
Here's
mean,
to
I've
You,
done
My
it
Love,
a
right?
million times
One
before.
moment.
I think it's Here's to You, My Love.
Here's to you, my love.
Sorry about that. Okay.
It's another love song.
It's all love. We'll put
Love,
it
love,
up.
love.
We'll put it up.
Do right, do your thing.
Do my thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can do that?
yeah.
we'll be okay.
Okay, y'all gotta stand now.
Yeah, standing up is good.
Y'all gotta be looking around for one another. Or maybe just the one next to you, but it could be the one on the other side of the room or the one that left the planet.
Yep.
Here's to the babies in a brand new world. And here's to the beauty in the stars. Here's to the travelers on the open road. Here's to the dreamers in the bars. And here's to the teachers in the crowded rooms. Here's to the workers in the field. Here's to the preachers in the sacred word. Here's to the drivers at the wheel. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Here's to the doctors in their healing work. And here's to the loved ones in their care. Here's to the strangers on the street tonight. Here's to the lonely everywhere. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Here's to the wisdom from the mouths of babes. Here's to the lions in the cage. Here's to the struggles of the silent war. Here's to the closing of the age. Here's to you, my love, a blessing from above, let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, a blessing from above, let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Let the day start.
All right.
Amen. So this is where we remind everyone that we have a prayer box here. And it's just about time for these to get sent to Unity Village so they can be prayed over for an additional month. You can fill out the prayer slips in the back of your pew and put them in this box. You can put them in the offering plate as it goes by. You can put them in the back corner, in our prayer corner over here, and then they'll get sent to Unity. So we invite you to use that. We also have in the front, there's a vessel of water and some little glass stones, and we invite you, either coming in the morning when you come or when you go, to take a stone, hold it with you in your hand for a moment, maybe by your heart, and think of things that you'd like to either let go of or bring to you, and then drop the stone into the vessel of water. So at this time, we're going to do our January affirmation, which is in your bulletin. I know, I never use that word. In your bulletin. And so they're on the back page, and we will say them together. The first one is for Unity by the Sea. So please say with me, co-creating with God, all of unity that the seas, wants and needs are satisfied. And then for ourselves, co-creating with God, all of my wants and needs are satisfied. So at this time, I'm going to read the daily word. Today is the 26th. It says, let go and let God. I let God be God in me. Meister Eckhart, 14th century German mystic, taught, all that God asks you most pressingly is to go out of yourself and let God be God in you. Reflecting on Eckhart's words, I remember that whatever I'm doing, I need never feel frustrated by the limits of human wisdom and understanding. Letting go and letting God reminds me that God's presence is with me throughout every experience of my life. God's love, life, wisdom, understanding, and strength are mine. Even my inner power of release works through me whenever I call upon it. My human self, together with the indwelling presence of God, the Christ in me, brings good into my life. And the scripture today from John 14:10, the words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does his works. And now we're going to have some special music.
Well,
Or congregational music.
congregational.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine. So is it congregational or
It's,
special?
well, it says special music, but I think,
Yes, it should be the
I know,
front.
this is our, because this needs to be called our opening song.
As
And
opposed
then
to
again,
gathering?
oh, no, wait, okay.
That's okay.
I know, we're getting it together, we're just new here, we're new, we're trying to figure it out. But which song are you gonna do now? You're gonna do Let It Be now, right?
Whatever I'm told to do. All
Okay, do that.
right.
Let's sing together and then he'll sing by himself. How's that?
Okay.
Okay?
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. When the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there'll be an answer, let it be. And though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There'll be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. I didn't do the song that long ago, but being that I'm getting old, I get to do things whenever I want to now. And, it just came to me that I had to do this one today. And then I'm going to get a little cranky later and get paradoxical on you. If it be your will that I speak no more, my voice be still as it was before. I will speak no more, I shall abide until I am spoken for, if it be your will. If it be your will, if a voice be true from this broken hill, I'll sing to you from this broken hill. All your praises they shall ring. If it be your will to let me sing, if it be your will, if there is a choice, let the rivers fill, let the hills rejoice. Let your mercy spill on all those burning hearts in hell. If it be your will to make us well, draw us near and bind us tight. All your children here in their rags of light, and in our rags of light, all dressed to kill. Let's end this night, if it be your will. If it be your will.
Randy always chooses just the right songs. This one pretty much made me cry. Thank you very much. Leave you alone. So today's talk title that I submitted like a month ago is Just Be It. So I took it from Nike's slogan of do it and went, no, I'm tired of doing. I want to be it. And part of today's talk is taken, especially when we get to meditation, from James O'Day's prayer, Soul Awakening. Now when I started this talk and got the inspiration for the title, I hadn't read today's thought for the day. Instead, I read the daily word from December 19th, which, lo and behold, was let go and let God. So let me read part of that to you. Its first sentence is, I release limiting perspectives and allow my good to unfold. And it continues, at times I have clung to ways of being that kept me stuck in place mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Ready for a new direction in my life, I pause to open my heart and mind to a storehouse of unlimited possibilities. Turning to the presence of God within, I choose to surrender my limited perspectives and become willing to take on a new and higher perspective. When I tap into the spiritual nature, which Susan calls God, or soul, life takes on a sense of adventure. Following divine inspiration, I'm able to move forward on my life's journey. Viewing life in positive ways with an attitude of empowerment, I expect my greatest good to unfold. No matter what may arise in my life, I am grateful knowing that God is blessing me in magnificent ways. So we say let go and let God often, and today I want to know why we do that. What do we mean? What do we really mean when we say, oh, let go and let God? Because I don't think it's as easy as it sounds. Certainly it hasn't been in my life. So for me, this reading that came from mid-December is about the soul's journey. What we have come to this life to be. So we talk about every week, we talk about the light, indwelling light within us, the light of Christ within us at the center of our beings. But are we actually willing to be that light? Be the light we claim lives in us? So thank you, Facebook. I found another quote for those of you new to me. I always find a quote on Facebook someplace. This one was written by somebody who works at Wing Shadow Farm. And this person says, if you want 2020 to be your year, don't sit on the couch and wait for it. Go out, make a change, smile more, be excited, do new things. Throw away what you've been cluttering. Unfollow negative people on social media. Go to bed early, wake up early, be fierce. Don't gossip. Show more gratitude. Do things that challenge you. Be brave. So, what led me to this talk was getting rid of the ways of doing this in my life and possibly yours. Letting my little human self stop doing all the things I've done in the past that haven't served me, that haven't awakened me, that haven't renewed my soul. And many of us get so caught up in the doingness of what we think is important and vital that we forget or we skip over the beingness of our spirit, the beingness of our soul. Our soul's journey is rediscovering who we actually are, who we were always meant to be. Now, holidays especially bring out that idea that we have to do things the way we've always done them, be a certain way around families and friends, traditions, doing traditions that we've done for the past 20, 30, 100 years. And for those of us who have broken away from those traditions, we've created new ones that we've done for the past 5, 10, 15 years. But this year, for me, I wanted something new. I wanted something different. So I'm going to use one example, and there were many during December, but one example of Christmas. For the past, maybe 20 years, I've sung a particular duet with a very good friend of mine for pretty much every Christmas for nearly 20 years. It's the same piece of music, in the same key, with the same words, with the same arrangement. And it's the only time I get to sing at this church, although I offered several times, whatever their excuse, it's like, okay, whatever. And I love the person I sing with, I love her. But this year it's like, no, I have to do something different. I have to do something that will renew my soul. So instead of singing at her church on Christmas Eve this same song that we've sung forever, I went to a Christmas Eve potluck with people I didn't know or hardly knew. It was potluck, so I ate foods I would never normally eat or even knew existed. I laughed with people, I had serious conversations with people I don't know. I laughed at the white elephant exchange, which was pretty funny. And I had fun. I had fun on Christmas Eve. And Lord forgive me, but I didn't miss singing with my friend. And I'll probably do it again next year or the year after. But it was creating newness, and what it brought to me was a new sense of joy. I don't have to do the way I've done things in the past. Now, following Christmas, there's of course the burning bowl concept. And many of you probably did it or did some form of it. We burn up the past to be freed from our minds and our doingness. Or that's the theory. We burn up things in the past we don't want anymore and maybe create new things. So, did you make a list? That's a real question. You can nod or shake your head or raise your hand. So did you make a list of what you wanted to give up? Did you make a list of what you want to accomplish? I will do this and this and this, and I will let go of this and this and this. But you know, is that what your spirit is calling you to be? What path are you being called to follow? Are you becoming more aware that your very soul is calling you to be rather than seem to be? Seem to be. It means I can put on a good outside appearance that I am just fine. I am talking the talk. But inside, I'm not walking the walk. I'm seeming to be okay. I'm seeming to be doing good works. But something inside of me is saying, hello, spirit in me, spirit, soul, Christ in me. Am I adhering to that? Our authentic self is what our soul's purpose is all about. We're each born into the families and lives that we have, and some of them have been painful. We've had painful, hurting, we've cried our tears, gallons of tears. Some of us have had horrible experiences, yet here we are, still on our soul's journey. We've had to learn some hard, painful lessons. But we all have a purpose, and we're still here. And it may still take many, many years for us to find our soul's purpose, or maybe we've latched on to parts of it, but there's more. There's a never-ending flow of purpose to your life, outside of the doingness. One of my foibles is that I lead. I don't mean to lead. I'm never meant to be a leader. That wasn't who I thought I was. But I am. And I'm a doer. Give me a task, I'll do it. No one raises their hand to do something. Okay, I guess I'll do it. And I have gotten so stuck in the doingness in my life that I forgot how to be Christ inside. So, I give you my personal practice so that you can learn from it. There was a time I worked for the city of Portland. I worked 40 to 45 hours a week or so. 8 to 5 every day, plus no lunch hours or whatever. I would get home for maybe an hour, and I'd leave for rehearsal, which was 3 to 4 hours a night, 3 to 6 nights a week. And I was the music minister for the church, which didn't mean I had to sing every Sunday, but I had to show up. I had to coordinate the soloist. I had to do, and do, and do, and do, and do. And I thought I was happy. I thought I was happy until things happened, and I let go of the music ministry. Things happened, and I let go of the opera chorus. And finally, thank you, God, I turned to an age that I could retire from the city of Portland. So for the last 7 years, I've learned to undo my doingness. I've learned that I can be. I learned that part of my calling that I had denied for years was to be a minister. Oh. And being a minister isn't about doing, let me tell you. It's about being. It's about going inside and figuring out what is God, what is soul, what is spirit calling me to be, not to do. Not to do. I have friends who are ministers who put up websites to go to do weddings for people. And I've done 5 and I've never asked for any. They've just shown up in my life. I didn't know them. They said, hey, you're a minister. I hear you're good. Did you do my wedding? Sure. I'd be happy to serve you that way. It's coming from that place of service, not of doingness. So, to find a good Bible passage to understand this doing and beingness, I found the story of Mary and Martha. And you'll find it in Luke chapter 10. And I'm going to read it because it's pretty short, but it packs a lot of intent to it. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. And Martha was distracted by all the preparations they had to be done. As she came to Jesus and said, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. And Jesus said, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed, only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her. It's a great example of the focus on being and doing. There's a clear dichotomy between the two sisters. So Martha, let's honor her. She is a woman at that time who is her own head of house. That's pretty impressive. And she's not offended or afraid to invite men into her home where only women live. Pretty impressive. And like many of us, a guest comes and we're not prepared for them and we go, is the bathroom clean? Do I have enough food? Blah, 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 blah. Whereas Mary goes, it's Jesus the teacher. I can sit at his feet and listen and learn. So it's interesting. Some of us are like Mary in our walk of faith, and some of us resemble Martha, and at times we resemble both. Sometimes we're inclined in our busy lives to let the busyness serve as a distraction instead of spending time with our soul, spending time in our spirit, listening to the words of spirit. And it's really significant to know that Jesus didn't get upset with her for making preparations. He was upset with her for worrying about it and having so much nerve that she would come to this beloved teacher and say, hello, could you send Mary into the kitchen with me? That takes guts. That's what he was upset about. That she didn't just be still and sit for a bit and let the doingness take care of itself. Our good works should flow from a Christ-centered life. They don't produce the Christ-centered life. They flow from that spiritual life that we have. And when we give our attention to our soul's journey, we are empowered to serve others, to be rather than seem to be. Doing this is like putting on a beautiful coat that we take exquisite care of. exquisite care, while underneath we wear rags or torn clothes or dirty clothes. Being is like taking tender care of what we wear on the inside and letting the coat on the outside be what it's going to be. Like Martha, I worry, I get anxious, and like Mary, I can focus and listen to the inner voice. So, a question you don't have to answer, but think about. Have you put your spiritual devotion first, or are you more concerned about doing good deeds so everything gets done? Do I have my priorities in order? My answer is some days I do, some days I don't. But I find that if I just sit and be still for a bit, the doingness takes care of itself. The doingness takes care of itself. I actually find I have more time to do the doingness, as long as I sit still and know it's mine to do. So, with your lists of to-dos and to-bes in 2020, I'm going to share with you what my 2020 process looked like. I have a prayer circle. We've done this prayer circle on this particular project every year for 9-10 years. And we have a form to fill out. Yeah, we do. So I'll read to you the part of the form that we agreed to. It's called a year-end power purge. And our purpose word is freedom. And these are the 5 agreements we all agree to. You'll love some of them. I lovingly release everything in my life that no longer serves me. Okay, that seems reasonable. 2, to create an opening for the expression of newness in my life. For example, if your closet is full, you can't put new clothes in it. So you have to create that space for newness. Number 3, we all moan about this one. To purge and organize my home as a demonstration of my willingness for Christ, to purify my soul and bring greater order into my life. Lord. So usually each year I'll say, I'll do this closet, I'll do that room. Number 4, to fully utilize the services of all those who can assist me. Ask for help. Oh my gosh, ask for help. And to be fully supported and financially provided for in the implementation of this agreement. Now, in the past, I have done, like many people do, I think the top thing on everyone's list is about be more healthy, take care of my money better. You know, it's health, wealth, and jobs. Those are the top 3 things people put on their New Year resolutions. But instead of that this year, I put about being. So mine are to choose to be less judgmental, fearful, angry, and confused. I choose to believe that I am good enough for the tasks at hand. I choose to embrace love and joy as my way of being. I choose to let my ministry be my everyday activity. So, things to think about. Who are you really? Who and what have you always wanted to be? Are you a painter? Are you a gardener? Are you a hidden mathematician? What fills your heart with gladness, joy, and makes you smile? What makes you feel accepted, loved, and cherished? And I can give you a hint that it's often not about the doingness, but how you be the doingness. how you accept your roles, how you accept those challenges and be the Christ light within you. And yes, we get frustrated, and yes, we get sad, and yes, sometimes we just want to raise our fist and go, why me? And then I suggest you go, okay, God, why me? Who am I really? What is my soul trying to tell me? How can I open myself more to my soul's journey? And I have to, before we go into meditation, those questions were like my summing up. Who are you? What are you? How can you be more of who you are? But I also want to thank each and every one of you, even those I've never met before, perhaps. Everyone who's ever been part of this church on a Sunday that I've been here, because you are all part of my soul's journey. You are helping me be more of who I am. And I trust God that someplace between the words I've spoken for the last, 3.5 years, that something's touched your soul. Something's made you go, huh. Because the words are not my words, the words come through Spirit. And I'm just so grateful for every single one of you. So now I suggest we're going to a little meditation where I'm going to read some words to you. And all I want you to do is breathe. Just breathe. And rest your mind. Open up your heart to hear the words and interpret them however you were called to interpret them. And breathe. And be still and know. Be still and know the I am presence of God within you. Be still and know. Be still and know God works in and through you to be what your soul has promised you to be. Be still and know. Be still and know your soul awakens. Be still and know your heart opens. Be still and know your light shines. Be still and know your love flows. Be still and know your wounds dissolve. Be still and know your peace radiates. Be still and know your soul is awakening. Be rather than seem to be. Do your work with the attitude of being. For the light of God, the light of Christ, the love that has no opposite, lives in and through you to do what you are called to do for your good and the good of others. You are a miracle of Christ. Be still and know. And as you continue to breathe, you can open your eyes and feel your feet on the floor. and bring your focus back to the room. You might choose to look around and smile at somebody, because the smile that you are brightens their life as well. You are the light. Amen. So now, are you going to, okay, now is our time for our offerings and blessings. And in your program, you will say the offering blessing with me, please. Begin. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, life. Amen. Beloved Randy, please return to the piano.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curve, but I just have to do it. I only really, well, anyway, I moved to do it this time of the year, and wasn't here last Sunday to do it. To go from that inner place of taking care of oneself to community, and this song is about community. And many years ago, I got to see a man, James Lawson, who was an associate of Martin Luther King. As part of the SCLC, I think that was called, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And James Lawson spoke at Willamette University, and it was pretty inspiring. And he gave kind of a story about that group of young men that got together and had some work to do, and how it just became obvious that who their leader was going to be. And it was pretty moving. And so I went home the next day and wrote this song about that relationship. And it seems like it's for me, Martin Luther King Day is probably the most important American holiday of the year, because it's really about freedom. It's real freedom, and it gets overlooked, and it certainly was dutifully overlooked again this year. I think I'll stop there because I could get wound up on it. With painful hearts, they were holding hands, walking that bridge in the darkness, looking for the promised land. One would rise among them and call to attention before ever a name, whenever peace would be mentioned, to make war on chaos, bring community salvation for all to sit down at the counter of our nation. Well, that man who stood among them back in the day came to make a difference, such a very big way, you know. Seemed like the master was looking down and seeing all that pain. So he sent a prophet, and Luther King was his name, with an outline for peace in his short day, to sit, stand, and boycott in nonviolent ways, 'cause it ain't about white, and it's not left or right, not about color, oh, but it's all about class. Not about weapons, no, 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 and it's not about war, not about hate for those who aren't straight, not red or blue, no, 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 it's about me and you, and all of our freedom at last, all about freedom, our freedom at last. And you can't look the other way and expect the peace to stay. Let the message of the prophet lead you, and the words of the prophet feed you. For one for all was his song, for the slave had been way too long. Take up your arms and fold them, freedom will come, he told them. 'Cause it ain't about white, no, 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 and it's not left or right, and it's not about color, but it's all about class. Not about weapons, oh no, not about war, not about hate for those who aren't straight. It's not red or blue, it's about me and you, all of our freedom at last, all of our freedom at last.
Thank you, Randy.
Randy rocks.
It's all about freedom, being, doing, listening. Let us pray over this. I know that all of the gifts, tangible and intangible, that are present in this beloved bowl and present in the lives and hearts of everyone in this room, are magnified 100-fold. And I give thanks and praise for the lives and trust that the givers and the receivers find in these tithes, offerings, and gifts of love. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen. And if Michael will come up and do my favorite part of the service, that would be great.
Good morning. Please join me in reading our statement for peace. And the bulletin on a tan-colored paper.
And on the screen.
Oh,
Wow. Cool. Yay.
read that, Anyway, unity
Stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God. For there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. Therefore, the position of unity, to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people, turn to God by whatever the name, for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war, for this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Unity stands for peace in our lifetime.
The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the cat and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And they shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord.
I will not be part of the killing of any child, no matter how lofty the reason.
not
not my neighbor's child, not my child, not my enemy's child, not by bomb, not by bullet, not by looking the other way. I will be the power that is peace.
Now, we sort of gather in a circle. And join hands. Now, sometimes I have to look backwards. So to begin with, this is the time that we can enter into this circle of names or things that we want extra prayer for, knowing that they are held in our hearts, our minds, and however you would like to speak them into the words or just say them quietly to yourself. This is a time for internal and external giving thanks and holding people in our hearts. Clayton Morgan, Jackie,
Cheryl.
Jennifer Ashley,
Michael Hill.
Mark Albert,
Mr. B that died this week.
Joshua, Jane, and Violet, and Adrian.
and so all of these people and ideas that have been lifted up both in word and in consciousness are held in love, held in faith, knowing that the good that they are seeking has already been given. Thank you, God. Amen. And now if you'll join with me. There's a peace song first, see? I need guidance on this one. So please join me. Words from that side. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, and we all are weak. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Join me now for the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Right on.
Amen.
One suggestion on the piece on overhead, because I don't know like all of the words.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know most
I
of
sang
the
the opera
words.
chorus for years.
That would help me hold right in front of them.
I don't sing so
Bigger
much
font.
anymore.
I am getting a little more vision.
Just like knowing that quality, it's like, what's my reading now? Thank you.
Other than that,
Thank you. I don't know.
yeah, I like how you have it right there.
Hi, I'm
Susan.
Susan. Bob. Susan?
See, yeah, so that's really good.
Bob,
I'm
I'm trying to get that.
Diane.
Yes, Marcy. Bob.
We're learning, we're